Welcome back to part 3 of Persia. If you're coming from part 2, two things to note. I'm picking this up after a few days, so I need a minute to reorient myself, but I also lost a little bit, a few turns. So between, I believe, the end of the last part and now, there were a few turns that passed. So currently I have my encampment. I'm building a barracks. Just finished early empire, or maybe say we're first, one of those, working my way towards political philosophy. Started a campus here. So basically, yeah, I'm going to get right back into this. So where I'm at right now, trying to finish my barracks. Only one, that's fine. And basically at that point, at the same time, I'm going to have political philosophy ready. So I'm going to switch over to oligarchy, which is going to give me bonus combat strength and experience. And then I can also swap in the policy agog, I can't pronounce that, which will boost my production. I can start pumping out Immortals. And that's the basic recipe. I always vouch for an early expansion. Groom the land with the builders, and then all you really need is this policy and the iron working tech, and you're good to go. Oh yes, I remember now. I had a excessive number of scouts in this game due to finding ruins. This barb camp hopefully doesn't cause problems. So, cool tip about the Immortal. It is a melee unit, which means, or I'm sorry, it's a melee class unit, which means it gets this bonus for oligarchy. All land melee units gain +4 combat strength, which is fantastic when your entire army is made up of these beastly melee class units. Did this guy kill the warrior? I wasn't watching. I'm going to have him heal up. There's no rush. He doesn't have anywhere to go. Really? Got these two guys crowded down here. So yeah, they must, Firaxis must have taken this into account when they balanced the Immortal. I mean, it's a powerful unit anyway, and then the +4 just makes it even more beastly. So what do we got going on here? Got this one builder charge left. It's good to try to pay attention. So I'm working 4 tiles right now that are all they're all improved. So it's going to grow in 3 turns. And where's it going to go? I guess it'll go to this grassland hill. And so I don't need to improve anything else with this builder charge. As for my capital, it's working all improved terrain. It's not going to grow anytime soon. Well, 12 turns is fairly quickly, considering that it's slowed by housing, the housing cap. So 12 turns or so, it's going to pick up one of these kind of mediocre tiles. If I get machinery and get a lumber mill, these are very nice tiles, but there's no rush. So we're going to have this guy chill. And I do believe that I was teching towards that. So you can run teching towards machinery. I'm not sure though, we'll see. I think I might actually go for Terracotta Army, which is a super awesome wonder if you have an early encampment and you're doing what I'm doing, which is spamming early game units to try to kill a neighbor. Alright, let's get on with it. Alright, got the wheel. Now, I don't think we have any resources. So, water mills add food to rice and wheat. So they're very situational. In my opinion, it's not worth building unless you have at least one resource. If you have at least one resource, then it is worth building. It doesn't cost any maintenance. But the fact of the matter is, the +1 food is basically irrelevant because, as I say many times, it's not about food. It's about housing. And so basically it's 1 production. So you're spending 80 production to get 1 production per turn. So it'll take 80 turns to pay itself back. Now, maybe that's worth it if the game is 300 turns on standard speed. But ultimately, there's probably something else you could spend that 80 production on right now to get you a huge benefit. So if you just build a horseman, for example, that's going to be a very powerful addition to your early army. Or a barracks, or a bit of a library. These things are just better than waiting 80 turns to gain 1 production per turn, in my opinion. But that said, if you have at least 1 rice or wheat, then it's definitely worth it. Because even though, yeah, food's not as important as it might seem, having more food on 1 tile means you have to work fewer food tiles to feed your citizens so they can be working mines, etc. Now, despite all that, I actually am going to probably build a watermill. Anyway, the reason being I really want this science boost towards construction because I want to have a shot at the terracotta army. It does tend to go fairly early. It's kind of unpredictable, but it goes fairly early on. And I want to make sure I have the tech ready for when I can take a shot at it, which means I want the boost. So I'm going to have my second city here work on that watermill next. Well, Passagard. I always say Passagard. I've been saying that for years. In Civ 5 I said Passagard. It's Pasargadae. Might as well queue that up now. Actually, I'm going to switch. The reason being, it won't take that long to research this once I have the boost. And I'm not going to be building terracotta anytime soon, because terracotta upgrades your army, but I don't even have an army yet. And in the meantime, I might as well pick up some important techs like archery, horseback riding, and hopefully apprenticeship. Oh, that would be a good use for this worker, actually. I see now. You need 3 mines for this boost, and it's a very powerful tech because it gives you +1 production to mines. So actually, I am going to use this guy, and I'm going to use this charge, even though the city won't be working the tile until it grows once again, which it might need a granary for. It'll benefit my progression. Doing the tech boost is very important. It's worth going out of your way to do a tech boost, especially in single player where there's a lot of downtime. There's not a lot of war unless you make it happen. Yay, somebody killed this for me. That's quite nice. What I would actually really like, so this is a bit frustrating, although this guy can just give me open borders. I think the reason it's not, this is funny, so normally you click make this deal equitable and it'll say like, oh, 1 gold per turn. But I think what's happening is because he really likes me, really likes me. He actually wants to give it to me for free. Like his little calculation is like, oh, 0 gold per turn for you, but it doesn't work that way, so it's just glitching. Yeah, Civ 6 definitely has a lot of still has a lot of these little quirks to it, especially when it comes to AI. Wow, this is fascinating. Like, this is actually super cool to have all these mountains. Just the power of campuses, holy sites, and the defense. You don't even have to bother putting troops down here. You can just defend your north. That's pretty cool. We have a little bit of mountain coverage here. Of course, we're actually trying to invade from there. All right, so this guy, I might actually send him to Granada. Because, yes, this internal trade route is more valuable, but I don't need the food, in which case, so that's kind of wasted. It's still more valuable, yes, but I really want this envoy because city-states, or if you get 3 envoys, it'll give me +2 production in my capital when I produce my army. What went? Apadana. It's a good wonder. Was added the same time. Well, it's situationally good, I should say. Some wonders are garbage, though, so saying it's a good wonder does mean something. Apadana was added at the same time as Persia. I believe it's in the region. I don't want to talk about something I'm not an expert on. All right, so we got some pretty good timing here. Our barracks will complete at the same time as our government will be ready. Where are you going to go? I guess you need to follow your buddy here. Might as well get these last couple tiles revealed. Defeated. Usually these little pop-ups that say unmet player defeated are city-states. In fact, honestly, I can't remember if I've ever seen an AI wipe out another AI. I don't think I've ever seen that happen. Actually, I'm sorry. I believe it's happened once or twice in my entire time playing this game. But the point being, it's quite rare. So of course we want oligarchy. I do kind of personally think oligarchy is usually the best way to go. If you're actually like nowhere near, if you're like too super safe, no warfare for you at all, which is kind of rare, you can go classical republic. But oftentimes you're going to want to run a military policy anyway. It's kind of ironic because even though military policies are the weakest, generally, for the most part, you actually always want conscription like 90% of the time. Because conscription just saves you a lot of money if you have a standing army. It's just much more valuable than even like caravanserais. So you pretty much always want to have conscription in. We're not going to do that right now because we're doing troop production, of course. But a lot of the times you're just going to leave conscription in, so you actually do want that slot. So ironically, even though this one seems like it's more economic classical republic, and it can be, you can actually make the most gold from a policy by having a military card. At least until you get a bunch of trade routes. Anyway, I actually think we're going to have our second city produce settlers. Our first city is going to produce troops. Charismatic leader is, of course, the default option for diplomatic. So we have 1 extra. It would be nice to get a general. I think I'm going to research that civic next. But for now, nice and easy, let's just do this. Or maybe I want to buy a tile. That's actually a good idea. Because I was saying that my capital didn't really have a good place to work. So I could perhaps buy one, like this hill. Oh, I made a mistake. So my mistake was I thought I hadn't spent my builder charge yet, which was stupid of me. Because of course I had. So unfortunately, even though this mine is within 3... Oh, I can actually make this work. Of course. So even though this city was within 3 of this mine, you can't actually work it unless you have a direct like border connection. So I just bought this tile here, and that is allowing me to now access this mine in my capital, which I'm going to do because my second city still has this mine to work. All right, we're good to go, baby. Got our barracks. And do I want to finish this monument first? It feels a bit silly not to. It's only 2 turns. And a monument 2 is culture is a fair amount, especially in the early game. So what I want is military tradition. I don't think I'm going to buy any more tiles. I don't really need to. But if I was going to, the best time would be right now while I have the discount on. But whatever. I could buy these bananas, but it's not really urgent. I'm trying to remember what my Pantheon was. Oh! Bananas are the way to go. I think I will buy those bananas. As I said earlier, I didn't quite. It's been a few days since I played this game, so I didn't remember what my Pantheon was for bananas because I had all these bananas. So I'm actually going to buy that because even though I won't have the plantation right now, I want to have it ready. Plus, it's like 1 extra food, which doesn't really matter when it's housing capped, but it's a little something. Anyway, I actually think land surveyors, like, a good tip, I personally believe that if you need a tile, just buy it. You don't need to wait to swap in this policy. It's not really important. It's so little gold. It's like it goes from it's like 14 gold or something is saved from buying 1 tile. And if it's convenient, for example, I was able to do 2 switches in 2 turns because I researched this and I had 1 turn left. So I had 1 turn of having this tile here, of this policy, and that's fine. Why not save the gold? But normally it's just so little that it's not even worth swapping out some good policy for it most of the time. All right, let's do it, baby. So in terms of what's next, I'm going to queue up Mysticism. But I'm not going to finish it. That way I have basically, it's like having a free swap ready to go. Because I don't need anything in Mysticism. So if I leave it at 1 turn, then it's like, okay, whenever I want to swap, I can just do that. Where are you going to go? I think I'm going to set you to Auto Explore, which I rarely recommend, honestly, but because it's fairly lazy and you can always guide your scouts better than they can guide themselves. But I'm going to be a little lazy here. Generally speaking, it's just a bad idea to leave anything in this game up to AI. Even like city tile management, it tends to do a bad job of picking which tile. Is this not improved? Oh, it's a big mistake by me. I should have used this builder. Well, at least I'm getting the apprenticeship boost, which is significant. And amenities aren't really that big a deal if you have enough. So maybe it's okay. But I think I would have preferred to get the amenity. Alright, so I want you to build some settlers. Other valuable choices would be a trader or a granary, because it's currently housing capped, so a granary would allow it to grow more. Or it could contribute by adding Immortals, but I think we're going to have enough Immortals just from 1 city producing them, and they're going to be boosted in that city. So I'm kind of doing 2 things at once rather than going 100% in on this Immortal thing. Because if I look at Alexander's military score, yes, he has walls, which is significant, and he does have a couple unique units, which are very strong. But he's only got 125 military score. He's already at war. I think I'm going to be okay. Just producing from 1 city. I don't need to like ultra rush this right now. And I'm sure you've done this many times if you're a Civ player in Civ 6. You mean to swap out your tech, but you didn't. So I lied. I didn't actually queue up Mysticism, which is a fairly significant mistake because having the swap ready to go is extremely helpful. Oh well. What am I going to do now? Anyway, I'm actually going to queue this one up, but I'm going to try to get this boost construction after apprenticeship because I have it'll only be about 7 turns, so I might as well get that culture boost. And I'm going to go Granada, so we're going to get the suzerain in Granada, and this will get us the +2 production for units, which is really awesome right now. So he's mad because we're suzerain, which is a shame. Whatever, man. I don't really give a damn. Once you have a standing army, you're pretty much set. The AI is very bad at punishing or like sieging you out and attacking you with well-coordinated, powerful armies. So it can have a lot of production, have a big army, but it's bad at using it. And generally, as long as you have walls up and a decent amount of range units to defend yourself, like, it's not particularly dangerous. So I'm currently playing a game as Alexander on a huge map, and it's going quite well. I'm about to finish with a space victory. Oh, is he attacking me? What timing? I don't think... Yeah, he's currently at peace, so it's more than likely he will attack me now. I'm hoping I don't have to build walls or anything. So I would like to put this in Buenos Aires, but I want this other diplomatic league first. So I'm going to save this envoy for now. She's really annoying. You know what I realized? I don't have the sound on for Civ. Sorry about that. Anyway. I often play without the sound on, just because... I mean, I do love the soundtrack and everything, but... when you're trying to concentrate, it can be nice to have it quiet. So funny thing, I mean, if Alexander had marched over here, even just a little bit earlier, it could have made a really big difference. It could have actually been, he could have really punished us. But he didn't, did he? So I'm going to move this guy and try to secure... This isn't the best land. Like, this land over here is better. But I pretty much have this secured. I don't see anybody who's going to take this from me anytime soon. And I could see Frederick. Yeah, there's a settler. He could be moving up this way. So I want to secure this as my border by planting a settler there right now. I believe theirs is water? Yeah. Mojeno Daro's bonus is cities have full housing from water. So that's mostly for if you're planting a lot of coastal cities. Because I don't think it's reliable to say, okay, I mean, maybe you could. You could say, okay, I'm going to make sure I have Mojeno Daro, and then I can put cities like in the desert and stuff. The thing is, it's a little risky because AI loves to kill city-states. It also loves to take suzerain status. I normally skip these, but I kind of like listening to Philip's Spanish speech. All right. So it would be better if I declare war on him. The reason being I'm Persia. And therefore, I get a pretty awesome movement bonus if I'm the one to declare a surprise war. Do I have quick movement on? I don't usually. I don't want quick movement. Quick combat, sure. Wow. Wait, I'm having like a moment here. I guess I have always had it on. I just never really noticed. Oh, he moves so slow. You see that? That's insane. Oh my god. Oh god, I'm turning that back on. That's awful. Never mind. Alright. I'm just gonna queue up. So in case you're wondering, I'm using a mod called Chow's Quick UI, which is basically the currently most popular and commonly used, I believe, UI mod, and I do recommend it. It's quite nice. It just it makes things go a little faster. You have this nice interface to keep an eye on your enemy's military score and their science score and stuff like that, and you can queue up production, which is kind of nice. That's mostly what I use it for. Those two things. And maybe you might be, if you don't use it, maybe you're noticing something I don't that is also a nice feature. I've had it for so long, I can't remember what the normal UI looks like. I didn't see these horses here earlier. Or I must have, but I realized I could have bought this tile, which would have been nice. Anyway. One thing I did want to say about this mod, this seems like a big advantage. It is a big advantage having these numbers like military score, but it's not cheating. It's not cheating because all this information is accessible on this screen, the overall world ranking screen. So domination victory, Philip's military score is 505, Catherine's is 498, etc. Frederick's science is 45. So this is all information that's available to you. It's just much easier to look at it here. So it's not, it doesn't give you an unfair advantage. Oh, here we go. Catholicism. Divine inspiration and pagodas. Pagodas are good, but I'm not sure they're worth building holy sites for. Divine inspiration, I mean, if we conquer some land, it'll be nice. Sweet. So we got Hannibal, which is awesome. Generals make a very big difference in your warfare, whether or not you have one. Hopefully Freddy wants to re-up. Very good. That way we don't have to worry about him interfering with us. So I'd really like to settle up here, but I'm a little worried about, or I'm sorry, like near this river. I'm worried about if I declare war on Alexander, he might punish that while I'm breaking in here. But yeah. So for now, I'm gonna stick to my little protected territory over here. Could go over here. It's kind of mediocre. Probably more this river. Unfortunately, this is all like pretty flat. This hill is important to have. Granary, this iron. Maybe, let's see. I might even actually go all the way out. Because that way I'll have access to these lumber mills sooner rather than later. Normally I like to put cities fairly close together so you can get adjacency bonuses. And because cities don't tend to grow large enough to need enormous amounts of space. But in this case, avoiding all this flat land is a good idea. So I'm going to send him a little further out.